So DeMarcus Cousins was bought out by the Lakers, and luckily he's going to be able to still rehab, so that's nice. Where's Boogie's career going? I did talk about this about 6 months ago, and I think that's about enough time to bring it up. And also, just the landscape of the league has changed a little bit, you know, when we talk about like what free agents are valuable and what teams are good and stuff. So the first thing to talk about would be just how good we think DeMarcus can be moving forward. I mean, I think his three-point shooting is going to be there. I think he's still going to be able to score inside. I don't know how often teams are just going to dump the ball to him in the post. I really have no idea there. And as far as the going off the dribble and the full court stuff, probably not. Do I think he could still bust out a move or two in the half court? Yeah, potentially. I wouldn't put it past him. Defensively, there's a fear that DeMarcus would be bad coming back, but number one, I don't think that's certain, because I would like to believe Boogie would accept the fact that he's not the same player that he once was, and, you know, as a result, maybe put a little bit more energy into defense. And he has been a good defender in the past. It's not like he was just a horrible defensive player for every second of the last 3 or 4 years or whatever. So I would like to believe DeMarcus could come to a team and be decent for them, potentially even very good, depending on what his role is and all that, right? I guess the ultimate goal would be if he could have a Brook Lopez impact of a year ago, where the Bucks signed him to, I think it was like $3 million or something. It was a really low number for Brook, and he was an impact player as a shooter and as a rim protector, right? And then he got that extension. So I think that's what we can hope for with Boogie. As far as the team that could take him on, well, if we're looking at some of the teams that have cap space this offseason, there is Atlanta. I don't think there's any contract they really need to think about extending. I mean, sure, they're going to have I should say for this offseason, they're going to have John Collins after next year, and they're going to max out Trae Young 2 years after that, but I don't think DeMarcus would really hold them back on any of those things. I mean, to me, a contract for Boogie, I don't know, something like $10 million for 1 year, or maybe there's a team option, or maybe even a player option, I wouldn't really know, for the second year. I really don't picture him getting like a $16, $17 million contract, you know what I mean? Per season, I should say. Now, I could be wrong, and for Boogie's sake, I'd love to be wrong. I mean, the guy was close to getting a whole lot of money before all this injury stuff started happening, but we can only operate in the reality, you know? So for Atlanta, I mean, between Capella and Dedmon, I don't know if their center lineup is really open for Boogie, unless they wanted to go with two bigs, which, okay, maybe. For the Pistons, I mean, you already got Blake and Christian Wood. For the Hornets, you know, maybe if you wanted to have DeMarcus play about the same amount of minutes as Cody Zeller, and Boogie could space out the floor for like PJ Washington and stuff when he comes into the game, you know, that could be a nice contrast between the rolling center and Zeller and Boogie, who's going to pop a little bit more. I guess that's an idea. Miami could be kind of interesting. I don't really think the Pelicans would do it. They already got Favors, who I believe is under contract for next season. He's not, but I could picture them re-signing him. Plus they have Jackson Hayes, who I'm sure they want to, you know, they want to keep him in the game next season and all that, and Boogie could hold that up. I don't think Toronto would want him. Phoenix is probably more interested in re-signing Aaron Baines as opposed to anything else. And then between the Wolves, Kings, Knicks, and Wizards, and Suns, I don't really think so with any of those teams. OKC could be kind of interesting if you wanted to play him behind Steven Adams, because, you know, OKC could be ready to, you know, win some games next year if they want to just keep this thing going. But even then, they do have Gallo's contract, and it's going to be interesting to see what they decide to do with him. Chris Paul and Boogie on the same team, that could be a thing, I guess. Now, we're eventually going to get into the teams that will not have cap space this offseason, but could a team use their mid-level on Boogie? Maybe. I mean, there's definitely other options out there in free agency, just those solid guys who can give you 20-something minutes a game. But I am going to assume that there will be some team that is convinced DeMarcus Cousins could give him some good minutes, and I don't think it's ridiculous to believe that. I mean, again, this is a guy who, as little as, 3 years ago, was one of the best offensive players in the league, so even if the injury is going to be a thing, it's not like all of his stuff is going to be zapped away. Now, with all that being said, I will admit I can't confidently find the one team. I mean, I don't really think the Bulls would want him. I mean, maybe they need some more punch offensively, but do they really think DeMarcus Cousins would be the option? I don't know. I could picture the Nuggets just re-signing... Which Plumlee do they have? Mason Plumlee. He's been a fine backup big for them. And then you're looking at Dallas. They've already got their two bigs, and Dwight Powell and Kleba. Cleveland is committed to, well, for the moment, Drummond and Thompson and Kevin Love. Who knows there? Maybe Portland, if you want Boogie to back up Yusuf Nurkic. I guess that could be an idea. With the Grizzlies, I mean, between Jaren Jackson and Valanciunas, I don't really know with them. Maybe Houston? You know, that's an idea. You want to get yourself one big guy who's going to shoot threes. And we know that Daryl Morey, if he's still the GM next season, loves star players. And given how much money the Rockets have committed next year, and I don't really think they're getting out of any of it. If they wanted a little bit more offensive punch, I guess DeMarcus would be the way to do it. And the Rockets right now are at $130 million next season. And if I look at Real GM, they say the luxury tax is going to be $139. So, okay, they could already have enough if those numbers are off. I'm sure Daryl would be determined enough if he was really hell-bent on getting DeMarcus on the team. You know, wildly enough, Golden State could sign DeMarcus. I mean, the taxpayer mid-level is like $6 million, which maybe that's what Boogie is, maybe that's the most that he'll get this offseason. I don't really know, but the Warriors could have a place for Boogie, so we could go through that whole thing again. Again, I don't know. I don't know what the exact team would be, but I think we'll see DeMarcus Cousins again, and I don't think it's ridiculous to believe that he can still have an impact on a team. Maybe at this point he would just take a contract that was a little longer just to guarantee himself that he's going to be in the same place for a minute. But maybe he would do what he basically did with the Warriors, which was sign a one-year deal, prove he's still good, get back out on the market, and then go for that bigger contract the following season. Or if I can bring up Brook Lopez again, maybe it's the perfect storm of good team who is going to play you a lot and they'll extend you, assuming you're good. I don't know. Who really knows? There's a chance Boogie ends up on insert random NBA team that doesn't make the playoffs, but it'll be up to him and his team, his people, to determine what's best for him. So, see how it goes.